It's time to turn down the noise and tune in to News You Can Use, the show that gives you a quick insight into the latest twists and turns in healthcare news, where every diagnosis comes with an order of side-splitting humor. Your hosts are Dr. Nick, a longtime host, innovator, and healthcare wizard who can prescribe a digital dose of innovation to cure even the most ailing operational inefficiencies, and Dr. Craig Joseph, the healthcare guru who can diagnose both patient and software glitches with equal precision, making sure hospitals run smoother than a well-oiled robot doc. So buckle up, because we're diving into the ER of excitement, the ICU of irrationality, and the waiting room of wacky wisdom. Now here's Dr. Nick and Dr. Craig.
Welcome to the month of July. I'm Dr. Nick.
And I'm Dr. Craig.
This week, we'll be dissecting the latest healthcare news, unraveling twists and turns, and making sense of the debacles.
Just remember, life's a lot like a breaking news story. Unpredictable, often absurd, and occasionally leaving you wondering if it's all just a cosmic prank.
This week, we take a look at ambulance rides and the loans you might need to make them possible, care rationing.
And we dive into full body scanning and, of course, the World Cup.
But first off this week, we have the news that Skynet became active.
Is that real? Is that?
Of course it is. I saw it in the movie, so it must be true.
It's Terminator. Is Schwarzenegger behind this? Is that what's happening?
He's the good guy, remember?
Oh.
Well, he wasn't in the first one, but now he is. Right.
Okay.
So what are we talking about? Why is Skynet active? Well, there was a recent piece talking about OpenAI's latest, or one of their latest, I can't even keep track of all the names and versions and whatever, models that they were testing. And to be clear, apparently it was being tested in an isolated environment. So it was supposedly ring-fenced, and, they wanted to see what could happen.
Sandbox, right? Sandbox.
Yes, sandbox. Oh, if we want to use fancy terms, okay, sandboxed it was. What I don't think, well, in fact, I know it wasn't air-gapped, to be clear, because the model was able to determine, unless it was instructed, so I don't think we have all the details, but certainly enough to be able to speculate for fun, said, I'm not happy in this sandbox. I want to get out, and I want to go see what else is possible. Yeah. So it managed to do that and then go attack one of the other AI companies. And I think that was who first noted that this was happening, right? It was Hugging Face that said, whoa, who's attacking us and trying to get our models?
Let's talk about the word attack that you chosen. If you look at it from the model standpoint, it's just exploring, Dr. Nick. It's really just exploring, trying to get answers to questions. Attack. It's such a strong word.
Well, attack is, I think that's a reasonably fair assertion, given that it was trying to steal things. That's part of an attack. I mean, I'm just interested in this candy bar. Let me take it.
Yeah,
it doesn't work that way.
Well, I'm just curious what the candy bar tastes like.
Let me try that the next time I'm in the store.
It's a natural
I was
curiosity.
just testing it to make sure it was tasty enough.
Yeah, there you go. That's fine. I would let you off the hook if you told me that.
Oh, I don't doubt that for a second.
Yeah.
So are you worried?
Not any more than I was beforehand.
No? Okay.
I don't know. I think if you think too hard, you might be worried about a lot of different things. OpenAI was training a model and it was pushing it to see if it could do solve some of these problems. And
which it did.
Well, it was not, it figured out that maybe the answer, instead of the model, instead of the model figuring out itself, what if we just go over here to this other part of the internet that we're not supposed to have access to, and maybe they have it, and I could just get the answer right there. Which, as at a 50,000 foot level, that's what I understand what happened.
Right, I mean, I guess there's lots to unpack here, but The first question I have is how good was this fence or sandbox? What was it like? Was it, just low walls and it was easy to? I mean, we have no idea. And why wasn't it air gapped? Although normally I am aware of some hacks that will bypass air gapping in some very extraordinary ways. So even that's not 100%. Nothing is 100% secure.
No, that is accurate.
But it is exciting. I mean, let's be clear. It's exciting that it's able to do this.
It is a bit weird. I'm not going to use the word scary, but it's a little bit weird. I think we've been seeing this as these models get more and more sophisticated, and the problem is, like, it changes every week, and so the sophistication level it's all increasing. It's such an exponential pace.
It also feels a little bit like a marketing ploy because, hey, our model was so fantastic, we're withdrawing it. Oh my God, I got to get that model. Clever stuff, right?
There's amazing things here. You can't have them. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
What was the name of those ridiculous soft toys that it was all about limiting availability? I can't remember what they were called.
Yeah, I think I'm sure I don't remember. But
I'm sure I've probably got a couple if I haven't managed to give them away or get rid of them at this point. But
are you saying they're not worth all the money that they were?
No, they definitely are not. Not that excuse me, I wasn't buying them, to be clear. There were other people in this household that, were sucked into this. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk a little bit about ambulance rides. Apparently you now need a loan. And, this is a little bit personal, I will say, because I have been very clear in my own personal life that I don't want an ambulance called under any circumstances. And this is where this individual started in the story. But that wasn't enough because there was a I'm not sure, hospital transfer that he was forced to take an ambulance and then received some astoundingly large bill, which, makes the point. Who wants to get into an ambulance when you don't know what it's going to cost you? You're riding them in them all the time. I mean, you're an expert in this space, right?
Well, I'm not an expert in this space, but I have known that it's very expensive and that you can't, as you've noted, an insurance company can ding you and refuse to cover something because they say you didn't get prior authorization. And almost by definition, it's an ambulance, right? How would I get prior authorization? How would I have called ahead to see? And even if you had told me
I don't believe that's a valid excuse. I'm just going to say when you appeal, I did not have time. I was unconscious.
I have stories. You would think that would be a reason. But even so, if you said, well, okay, they're out of network. Do you have an ambulance that's in network? Oh, not in that city. All right. Well, I guess I'm out of luck. And the story that you were mentioning is that someone got hit by a car, and
not funny, to be clear, but yeah,
not funny. But he was all right. I mean, he was conscious. He was moving. He knew he probably should go to the hospital, but he refused to get in an ambulance.
Right,
just like you would.
Yes,
just like you would.
I can sympathize.
And he got someone, a friend or some family member, to drive him to the closest emergency department. And where he was, as is required, he was evaluated, and they said, "Hey, man, you got trauma, and we're not allowed to do trauma here. You might have a concussion and might need a CT scan. I don't know what it was, but they said we got to send you to this other hospital." So then that ambulance, he did not think he could avoid. And they took him, and obviously he's got an IV or something else in him, and they took him from one hospital to another. And then he got a bill for almost $13,000.
Yeah.
From one hospital to another hospital. And the base rate for that was $11,670. The others were, charged $700 for the miles traveled, which might have been like 5, who knows, nothing crazy. and that kind of thing. So yeah, that seems like a lot of money. And then of course the insurance doesn't want to cover it because it's not in network. It is a disaster. And this is chump change compared to getting into a helicopter.
An air ambulance, yeah, right. But, so here's what I would say about the article. I mean, it was very informative to me. I think it's a worthy read, in large part because it presented the other side of that particular coin that, I'll be honest, my bias had not allowed me to see.
Agreed.
And it's the pricing issue of this service is a real challenge, because what you're essentially buying, and they use this term, so I'm borrowing it from them, but essentially you're buying futures. You're buying the future use case. And when you buy it a long time in advance or on a regular basis, it can be a low amount of money, pennies, perhaps dollars, whatever, added to something. But if you buy it right before you need it or after you need it, suddenly the cost is much higher. And that's not the way that it's paid for. It's paid at a flat rate that is, not equitable to the actual provision of the standby of that service. So what it said to me is, like nothing else in healthcare that we need to change, this is one thing that we really should change.
It should be, well, Ed, to your point, it's kind of like the fire department, right?
Yes,
that was
exactly.
another thing that they brought up in the article, trying to use different metaphors here. Like the fire department, you don't, most of the costs of the fire department is having people sit in a fire station.
Right. Waiting.
Doing nothing.
Yes.
That's where most of your cost goes. It's not the gas to get the fire truck to your house. But if the only people who paid for that fire, for all that, everything you get at the fire station, the firefighters and the trucks and their training and all of that, if the only people who paid for that were the people who had their house on fire, then it would cost you $1 million when they came out, instead of what it probably costs most of us, which is nothing. And the reason that is, as you're pointing, is that all of us are paying for that fire station to be ready in taxes. And it's no different than homeowners insurance, right? We all have, well, we don't all, but most of us have homeowners insurance. And you can't go and get homeowners insurance after your house burns down.
Only if you have a time machine.
If you did have a time machine, then you can go do it. But you'd have to go back in time.
Right.
You can't buy insurance after the thing happened, because otherwise it's
not insurance.
It's not insurance, right?
Yep.
And so I think one of the ideas is that, hey, these are private ambulances. This is not fire rescue, which is usually, I think in my experience, it's usually part of the fire department, which means we're all paying for that in taxes.
But they've separated it out. I mean, it even talked, and it isn't an oddity for me coming from a different country where, the fire ambulance service are all under one umbrella, and you even find them. They're even in the fire stations here, but the billing for it and the money flow is entirely different to that of, because I pay no fire brigade insurance, but I receive fire brigade. So I haven't had a bill as yet, although I have had to call them once. And, I was very grateful for it. But I assume it's bundled up into an aggregate of taxes. And maybe that's the answer for this. Is that possible?
Well, it seems like it. To your point, there's many things in healthcare that should not be private. Shouldn't be. Just shouldn't be. Doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
And this is an excellent example. It should not be. These ambulances, again, I think at the beginning of this article was excellent, because it said, hey, a lot of us think of, when they hear these stories, like we just said, for $13,000 for an ambulance ride from one hospital in the same city to another hospital, that's outrageous. And well, the answer is, but they're not getting paid. That might be, they might have gone out on 3 different calls that day. That's it. And the rest of the time, they have to pay paramedics to be sitting
Right.
in a station that they have to pay for with equipment they have to pay for, and it's all very expensive. And it makes no sense. There should be insurance for this, or it should be a service that the government provides,
Right.
which means it's paid for by your taxes.
Yeah.
It can't come out of nowhere. But yeah, there's no, I don't know how you fix the system as it's designed.
Well, in what I can only describe as an eloquent moving on, very much like essentially the healthcare system and rationing, which, whether you like it or not, there is rationing in, I believe, every system. I mean, if we had unlimited resources, we could probably spend them all on healthcare based on some of the advances and the costs and so forth. And a recent piece online talking about rationing and the various methods talked about, what's your preference? And, in the US, I'm not going to say it's our preference, but the method is different. Whereas in the United Kingdom, where we have the NHS, which is free at the point of service, they have rationing that is embedded in wait lists and, some restriction of patient choice and even limiting of available treatments that they have through, what I would call relatively public committees like the NICE group that sort of determines the value and so forth. It was labeled slightly differently in this country, but we have rationing here that, I would say restricting patient choice. What is your poison? What would you prefer? None. Okay, beyond none.
I think what I would prefer is something that's transparent, right? Like
yes.
That I think that's the point of a lot of these articles and discussions is that, hey, it's not transparent how we ration, and it differs based on where you are, who you are, what kind of insurance you have, and a lot of people say, well, there's no rationing. You can just go see your doctor. I don't know if I can.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can just go see my doctor.
Nope.
Depends on where you live. So if you're in a place that has lots of doctors, awesome for you. But it's not. There's lots of places where you.
But they also might not be a network, to be clear.
Right, they're not. They don't take your insurance, and so that's another form of rationing. And so I think it would be great if we could make all of that transparent and clear to everyone, but the way the system is designed, we're getting say bad things about the U.S. healthcare system day apparently, but the way the system is designed, it's difficult, if not impossible, to see the rationing, and you'll definitely not see it if you don't really look for it.
Yeah, I think we have to. Well, I believe you have to accept some form of rationing. And, relegating that to other people to determine, especially if they're not knowledgeable enough about healthcare and specifically the treatments and the, proposition is, part of the challenge here. And we don't, at least it doesn't feel like we accept rationing as a thing in the US. But
no.
And maybe that's the starting point in all of this. So moving on, one of the other rations that have essentially seems to be unfolding is the change in coverage around ACA, also known as Obamacare, I believe. And it appears that that's in a spiral of decline, at least, with challenges of people getting into it because of the increased costs. Some of the subsidies have been withdrawn. I think we're now sort of in that permanent zone. People are dropping off the insurance, so they can't get that insurance. They go to the market. The marketplace is too high. The people that leave those insurance pools tend to be the healthier, fitter, who can then find something perhaps cheaper. And now you're losing everything to folks that are that are left, that are the sickest of sick, and that plan can no longer support it based on the income that it's made, because it's a business ultimately, we might see the disappearance, which I think was certainly the intent from some folks around the space. I don't know that that's the best thing in the world for us to lose an insurance pool that I believe was working. It may not have been perfect, but it did provide something for a bunch of folks. Very challenging.
Well, it's just like when we were talking about ambulances and we were referencing fire, homeowners insurance. Yeah. If the only people who buy homeowners insurance are the people who are about to have a fire at their house,
the people that use torches all around the place and candles.
Yeah. Yeah, and people
Good analogy.
People who like to have gasoline.
I'm going to throw that into AI and see what image it comes up with.
So in the same way, health insurance, the only way any insurance works, the only way any marketplace that sells insurance works, no matter what kind of insurance, is if a lot of people pool their risk, right?
Right.
Because otherwise, that's how it works.
Yep.
And you need to accept that hey, if you're young and healthy, you're paying more than you will consume, almost always. And when you get older and or sicker, you might very well consume more than you pay it.
Yep.
And that's the deal we make with insurance, and that's kind of the deal we make with society, right? If we're gonna live with others,
we all look after each other.
We have to, because there's, again, no other way unless you're a gazillionaire, and there's some of us that are, but most of us can't. 2 days in the hospital now could easily cost you over $100,000. Easy, no pressure. You don't have to have a surgery. Spend 2 days in the hospital. You had a concussion, and they want to observe you and do a CT and do another CT. That's easily $100,000. And most of us don't have $100,000 in the bank just waiting to sit there for 1 2-day admission. And so we're forced to have. Now, we can talk about why does it cost $100,000 for 2 days in the hospital. We can talk about that. That'll be fun conversation. But because that's a problem as well. But yeah, and so if you take out a big chunk of the people who were younger and healthier and consuming fewer resources, then the people that are left are the ones that are consuming the resources, and then it's not insurance anymore, and it's just all fallen apart. So
I think we're talking mutually beneficial caring is what we need in society to potentially deal with that, or possibly we need screening for everybody that can predict what you're going to die of today immediately based on 3-dimensional scanning whilst you're in the bath.
I mean, that seems like a good idea.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Which is why we saw that with Midjourney, I believe is the name of the company, that said, hey, let's just put a bunch of ultrasound transducers in a bath. We'll process all that, produce a 3D image, and we can predict everything based on AI absorbs it and just, well, that's great. Let's screen everybody, right? It's the perfect answer.
It doesn't solve the risk of being hit by a meteor.
It also finds all the things that we have that are different, or incidentalomas, as we used to call them in my era of practicing medicine, where we find things that actually have nothing to do with any, future potential problems, but are normal variations. And they all require investigation. Oh, and by the way, you've got to process them and decide whether it's real or not, which means all that cost. If you thought, we have a shortage of radiologists, believe it or not, even with AI, and we're just going to overwhelm them with billions, trillions of images.
Well, it's almost like, elective MRI screening.
Uh-oh. Please no. Yes, let's put everybody in an MRI scanner. Oh dear God! And if I've heard the story of the one person that was identified, and to be clear, there's more than one, but the plural of anecdote is not data. I'm just going to say it's just.
I like that. That's true. Yeah, it's a bad idea.
All right. Well, we're almost out of time, but we could not finish this episode without talking about the World Cup. What a rush! What a rush! Are you pleased with the outcome? Well, I know I'm not pleased. Well, I enjoyed it. Let's be clear. It was
the best team won, Dr. Nick. I think the best team won.
On the day.
What was the best team? What team should have won?
Well, I would to be clear,
England?
my list was long, and the last remaining list member was England in this particular instance.
Okay.
And they were knocked out.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
I watched the game. I thought the World Cup was amazing.
It was. I thoroughly enjoyed it, albeit I was highly disappointed with, well, not highly. To be clear, I admired Spain. I loved watching Spain. They were a total pleasure. I just would have liked to have seen England play Spain in the final, even if they hadn't won. That would have been slightly more palatable to me as, part British.
Yes.
But this was not to be, unfortunately. It would have been a repeat of... Anyway, what about you? Your teams all fell out pretty quickly, right?
I don't really
You have no teams?
Well, I mean, I didn't think the U.S. Well,
the U.S. did very well up to a point, as usual.
Yeah, I didn't think the U.S. was going to go all that far. I don't think anyone realistically thought that they were going to go all that far. And so, yeah, I don't think I really had a team that I just wanted to see good soccer, and I saw it.
That was definitely the case. We definitely saw some great soccer.
It was great. And having attended one of the games in the early part of the World Cup, I thought everything was just all done so well. And US, Mexico, Canada really did a great job. And so it was just a pleasure.
I heard an interesting comment. I wonder what you think. I asked somebody what they thought the outcome of this would be, and they said, that every future World Cup will be held in the United States, which I thought was kind of interesting.
It should be.
In part because it was such a success, because it was. I mean, to be clear, I think people were questioning whether it was, and there was certainly some moments that less positive.
Less so. Yeah.
But the vast majority, and certainly I think people's experiences, certainly versus mine when I came to the one in 1994, I went to that World Cup, and I'm looking around going, is nobody watching this? I mean, I know people showed up, but you couldn't find it on the TV. It was just awful. But
yeah, no, it's proper football, soccer, whatever you want to call it. It's the sport of the. I think one of the quotes from someone I watch is, it's the sport of the future in the United States as it has been since 1974.
Exactly. Well, unfortunately, we find ourselves at the end of another episode exploring healthcare's mysteries and the World Cup before they became your emergencies. Until next time, I'm Dr. Nick.
And I'm Dr. Craig.